Welcome to Roofing Road Trips with Heidi. Explore the roofing industry through the eyes of a long-term professional within the trade. Listen for insights, interviews, and exciting news in the roofing industry today.
Hello, and welcome to another Roofing Road Trips from Roofers Coffee Shop. This is Heidi Ellsworth, and let's just talk about what is the biggest topic in roofing right now, and that is mergers and acquisitions. Everyone's talking about it, and we wanted to hear, how's it going? What does this really mean to roofing contractors? So we invited Randy Korach with Roofing Corp of America to come to the podcast today. Welcome, Randy.
Oh, I'm thrilled to be here, Heidi. Great to be with you.
Oh, I love it. We've been working with you all. You're part of the R Club, and I'm just so excited about this podcast because there's just a lot of misinformation, maybe some myths that are going around that we want to kind of talk about and hear directly from you with such success. But before we start that, let's start out with an introduction. And if you could introduce yourself and then also kind of talk about your history in the roofing industry.
Yeah, happy to do it. And before I do that, Heidi, just a couple remarks on what you guys have been up to at Roofers Coffee Shop. It's been such a treat as a longtime participant in the industry to see a proud advocate for the industry and a promoter of the sort of the pride and professionalism of our trade. It's been needed for a long time. So thank you for what you're doing for all of us.
Thank you.
It's a thrill to be here, truthfully. So I'm Randy Korach. I'm native Cleveland, Ohioan, proud native of Cleveland, Ohio. I lived there for almost 50 years. I now live in Atlanta, Georgia with my beautiful wife. I have two kids, both who are out of the house. So unfortunately, I don't have many hobbies other than my work. So that's I'm a work in progress that way.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, right. It's a common story in our field, unfortunately. So I've been in and around the roofing and building materials and paint and coatings and construction services industry for a little over 25 years. Started when I joined RPM at their Tremco Incorporated subsidiary in 1997. So I joined Tremco shortly after RPM bought them from BF Goodrich and stayed there for 17 years, had a short time at Sherwin-Williams after that, sort of a variety of sort of general management and executive roles at both. I managed the Tremco waterproofing business. I managed the Tremco roofing business. While I was there, I also oversaw the Drive-It business. And so the whole building envelope was within my responsibilities. And then when I was at Sherwin-Williams, I had obviously exposure to paint and coatings, but I also managed the GSL and Uniflex and Cool Seal product lines for Sherwin, which were in the roofing space directly. So, anyway, took a little sort of departure in 2018. I wanted to do something more entrepreneurial, so I bought a little business in Atlanta in the roofing space, a roofing contractor called Innovative Roofing Group. I sort of saw, at least I believed, or I hypothesized that the market was ready for some meaningful consolidation, and there had been a lot of activity both upstream of the roofing industry, the distributors and manufacturers, but also adjacent to roofing. So there's a lot of activity in HVAC and in landscaping and in fire and life safety, all these facility services markets that had seen some consolidation. So I saw an opportunity and wanted to see if I could make something of that in 2018. So that's a little bit of the background. I'm obviously it's 5 years forward from that now, and I know we'll get into some of that.
Yeah, that's cool. That's a great history. We do a lot with both Tremco and Sherwin-Williams here, and that's cool. But I love how the foresight, because we all see it. When I think back, we all are watching these trends of mergers, acquisitions, and then all these new companies coming up, and we've seen it, over the last forever, I should say 30 years since I've been in it. But I would really love, with Roofing Corp of America, let's talk about that. How did it start, and how did you go from, and with Innovative to Roofing Corp?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'll give you a little bit of the background. Stop me if I get a little bit away. It gets away from me, which is a tendency, unfortunately.
I love it.
I think it starts, Heidi, with understanding. So, this topic of why private capital feels like it's all of a sudden interested in roofing and roofing services, and private equity investors are very savvy and they're very smart, but they're not very creative. Okay, and the truth is they like proven models. Okay, and the whole sort of deployment of capital for what they would classify as a buy and build model, acquisitions of additional businesses to grow a larger scaled organization, is proven across a wide range of sort of trade service categories. It just had really been absent in roofing. That sort of dates back to the 90s, candidly, where there were some well-publicized failures of consolidation strategies that happened. And, the uniqueness about roofing is, and this is maybe a little bit more relevant in the commercial side, but not entirely, is that number one, it's has some cyclicality risk, right? So, the market does go up and down based on consumer confidence and other factors, construction activity generally. And two, it's asset light, so it's difficult to finance, right? So there's not a lot of fixed assets in any of these businesses. So that's one of the challenges that private capital, private equity has had in trying to find strategies that they can underwrite, that they can get financed, and that they can support when their hold horizon is, say, inside of 10 years, and they risk taking some of those market cycles during their hold period. So, part of what's been happening over the more recent past is private equity firms figuring out how to mitigate those risks. Okay. And that's, I think, what you're seeing. That doesn't mean that there won't be risk in some of these models forward, but I think that the investors have given a lot of thought to those risk mitigants. So that was a lot on the preamble. But as far as RCA, I was sort of minding my business. I thought that I would eventually raise capital at IRG and go and grow. But, COVID hit, of course, at the beginning of 2020. And I was just trying to survive there for a few months to figure out, were people going to ever order a roof again? And, I was in, my business was all negotiated repair and replacement work. And my contracts all got pulled, right? If not for federal subvention, I would have been toast, truthfully.
Wow.
And we would have struggled to keep our people. But, people started to realize the world wasn't coming to an end. And 3-4 months later, we started to receive awards again. And, the future was a little bit more bright, but a little uncertain. Anyway, so it was at the end of 2020, out of the blue, when I got a call from Soundcore Capital Partners. They're a private equity fund, New York based. I had received calls like many roofers, maybe once a month, once a quarter, for sort of since I had gotten into the business in 2018. And, normally they'd call. It was sort of a young kid doing some buy-side cold calling, and they'd pronounce my name wrong. And, I usually didn't have the tolerance to stay on the phone, but for some reason that day I listened, and when I heard the fund's name, it piqued my interest. I happened to have a good friend from back in Cleveland who had scaled a business in partnership with Soundcore. So I knew of them through that experience. So it just was one of those calls for that reason that I chose to listen to. Anyway, long story short, they had a thesis in the space that they could go and call it roll up or buy and build in the commercial roofing space. One of the unique fundamental challenges that investors in the category have is that, they can make a first investment, but the investment they make, just because of the characteristics of the businesses that are being bought, generally don't have all that they would like to see in a future platform. Okay, they're great business, but they may not have all of the elements that'll make a collection of businesses eventually more valuable. So they needed someone to help them design what that looked like. Innovative certainly wasn't that. Okay, it didn't have those characteristics. So anyway, I sold my business to them. It was a fit with their thesis, and then I stepped into this role in the middle of 2021 to build what is now Roofing Corp of America.
Wow.
So. And yeah, we've been at it now for those 2 years. We've made 9 acquisitions in that period. We're coast to coast, from California to Charlotte, from DFW to Cincinnati. We've deployed over $200 million of capital buying roofing companies. We're going to do over $400 million in revenue this year, and the businesses have extremely successful backlogs, et cetera. I look forward to getting into the uniqueness of our model, but that's sort of the highlights of what we've been able to accomplish so far.
That's impressive. That's impressive, because I know there's contractors are getting these calls, like you said, or emails every day, or every month,
It's crazy.
and
It's
no
crazy.
one
We talk about
really,
it all the time.
yeah, no one knows what to do or who to trust. And so for you to find and kind of have some knowledge already that this is a good group, that means all the world,
That was a
because
gift. It was a gift.
yeah.
I'm certain I wouldn't have had stayed on the line, Heidi, if not for that experience, right? And that knowledge, excuse me. And by the way,
Hmm.
our sponsor has been true to everything they've said. They've been terrific supporters of our strategy and have allowed us let the roofers be roofers and helped advise us on capital markets and things like that. But we
Yeah.
really are roofers first, and our sponsor gets how important that is.
That is so important. I think that's the downfall a lot of times that goes on, is that they try to change the model, and the model has been working for a very long time and maybe not quite. So some tweaks. But when I look at some of the companies that you have, like Deer Park and Bone Dry, who I know both very well, they're leaders in the industry. So can you tell us about all of your company brands? Like you said, from coast to coast, kind of tell us who all you have in that 9 and how that's worked with everybody kind of coming together.
Yeah, we are nothing but home to these brands. Truthfully, Roofing Corp of America is the least important brand we own. I'm very comfortable saying that. So you referenced to Deer Park out of Cincinnati, of course. Nick Sabino, a recent past board chair of the NRCA, a strong
Yeah.
advocate for professionalizing the industry, training and development of the workforce. I mean, really a power in the industry. And he joined us in 2022. Bone Dry, you also referenced Chad, a
Yeah.
member of the NRCA board, and Travis, his partner, are just dynamic leaders. They have business based in Athens, Georgia, but branches in Charleston and coastal Georgia. Also here in the Southeast, we own a business called Davco. Danny Davis sold us
Yes.
that business at the beginning of 2022, and Danny's an NRCA board member as well and an amazing leader. Two other businesses in the Southeast, of course, IRG, which I referenced, managed by Michael Laird out of Atlanta. He backfilled me in that role, and his partner Mike Kakuza there. And then we have an amazing business in Middle Georgia, which is not well known, but a 100-year-old roofing contractor called
Wow.
Pittman Waller,
Yeah.
run by John Pearson and Chuck Pollock. And really proud of that group. And, we've started to, of course, as I just sort of made obvious, we've built some density here in the Southeast. So that group, what's most exciting, I think, to the sellers and to our model is they now have this local peer group that they can collaborate with on solving problems, whether it's workforce or supervision or sharing fixed assets or moving inventory. I mean, just all kinds of really exciting potential discussions that group is having because of the peer group that now exists.
Yeah.
In DFW, we own a business called Weather Shield, which has
Hmm.
been a rapidly growing business, both sort of serving that Fort Worth, west of Fort Worth market out of their home base, but they also do a lot of disaster restoration work for the large restoration contractors. So they're not doing door knocking, but they're showing
No.
up, for instance, this week, sadly, in coastal Florida,
Right.
in response to what is likely to happen down there to help the clients of Cotton and Blue Sky and First Onsite, et cetera, solving their problems and addressing their needs. Then
Right.
if we
Great
move
model.
further, what's that?
Great model. Because those are all
Yeah,
great
it's interesting.
restoration
It's a little different
companies. Yeah.
than
Yeah.
anything else we do, and we're excited about that business. We go up into the Mountain West. We own a business called Front Range Roofing.
Know 'em
Another
well.
really active industry participant, Mike Trotter and his team. Mike has been super active in Western states and the NRCA. Really proud to have that group on board. That's our most recent acquisition in April of this year. And then we moved to Las Vegas, where we own a company called the Original Roofing Company,
Hmm.
quickly becoming the really dominant player in the Las Vegas Valley. Just a really interesting business there, led by Guy Benelak and Mike Coddington. And then lastly, we own AAA Roofing, which is our largest business, believe it or not. AAA's got businesses in Riverside, California, and Milpitas, California, up in NorCal, and then in Boise, Idaho. So
Wow.
that team is led by Gene Smith. And I guess one of the hallmarks of our model, one of the really important parts of our model, is leadership continuity. So I referenced the sellers, our partners, when I made mention to those businesses. I didn't mention Brandon Flowers of Weather Shield. I should have. He's such an amazing and dynamic leader. But critical to our strategy is that partnership forward. So we expect sellers to engage for a period of time after the transaction and steward that team into our model, into our leadership, so that everyone sort of understands the importance of that forward collaboration. I mean, we're not so proud to think that our brand connection to that local business is going to make much of a difference to a team member that's chosen to go work for that entrepreneur if that entrepreneur chooses to step away. So it's really,
Right.
really important for us to demonstrate that some things are going to change, but the most important stuff, the leadership at the top of their local businesses, is something that we nurture and really maintain.
I think that's so important, and to bring such great leaders together. I mean, I knew pretty much all those companies and everybody you're talking about. They're just amazing, amazing group. But I think part of that too, and your website really talks about this, what you look for in characteristics, and as you're working through bringing companies on. And so I would love to kind of, the conversation is just naturally leading there. I'd like to talk a little bit about some of those traits and the importance of culture that you are growing.
Yeah. Every business is not going to be a fit for us, Heidi, for reasons that are very personal to the owner. Right? It's not the right time, or they don't like me, or whatever it is. Right? All reasonable. That's their business. Uh, Similarly, not every business that we talk to is going to be a fit for us,
Right.
and we do have a pretty robust, objective set of criteria that sort of assess a business's fit with us. Right? We're a commercial focused business. We do some residential work, right? Bone Dry, Deer Park, Weather Shield, Torque, all do some residential work, but the focus of any business we buy will be on the commercial market, and that will be the focus that we further layer on that business forward. We have a strong orientation towards repair and replacement. Okay, so we, obviously the market has been white hot with new construction for a few years. That's where most of the materials ended up for several
Right.
years in the commercial marketplace. And so we're overweight new construction, and we like it. We want to serve our owners and a curated list of GCs, but our focus is absolutely on the property management, facility management and owner community. And that's one of those risk mitigants that I spoke of early, right? Being sort of heavily weighted to repair and replacement protects the platform a bit from the cycles associated with general market conditions.
Right.
So that's a real critical focus of ours. All of our businesses have history, but we like to see a commitment and an objective to grow those categories. Of course, we look at margins, and we look at sort of the productivity of the teams. How broad is the customer base? How recurring is the customer base? Those types of things. We look deeply at safety performance, right? We buy only safe contractors.
I love hearing that.
Yeah, it's a really important story for us. If you're going to become owned by RCA, we want to make certain that the well is filled with organizations that understand and value the importance of getting their crews and their teams home safe, and that's both critical to culture, but also an important financial driver of success for the businesses. We look at geography, but we're not wed, right? Our primary focus on our origination work has been the Sun Belt, just because we like the 12-month construction season. But when the right asset comes available, we move, right? So Front Range and Deer Park are good examples where we moved when we met the entrepreneur and they were interested in our model, and we know we're going to fill in the white space on the map eventually. So we end up there for those reasons. And then lastly, we diligence aggressively sort of the the culture, of course, but also the mindset of the seller. Okay, so
Mm.
um, we our model is built on collaboration, sort of an open-minded leader who um, is interested, maybe even excited to embrace industry best practices and share those. So, our value creation strategy at RCA is to make this collection of businesses more valuable together, not simply collect a bunch of great businesses. So the way we do that is, of course, by leveraging our scale through purchasing initiatives and compelling risk management strategies, but also defining and deploying best practices. If that's could be in estimating or in service department management, in safety programs, all of those things. So it's really important that sellers and their teams, sort of, as much as they're proud of what they've created, also have the maturity and open mind to realize that maybe there's ways to improve some of the things that they've been doing. And we're really proud of this peer group that we have now across our portfolio, 9 sellers, 9 business units strong, that we can now bring together for the benefit of the full portfolio of the local business, but also the full portfolio. So,
Yeah.
our general managers meet regularly. Our functional leaders meet regularly. So we have what we call one RCA teams in estimating and service management and procurement and HR. And all of these areas we can help improve by driving consistency and best practice across the organization. We centralize very little, but we drive a whole lot of best practice sharing into the local businesses.
Well, and I saw that just recently when we were talking, when we were at Skills USA. I got to spend some great time with your team and overall teams, and saw how they were taking what had been done at Deer Park and sharing, the Perkins Act, Skills USA, different things, and how you all are so involved working together. I was just really impressed. I was really impressed with them.
Yeah, well, thank you for saying that. I'm glad it was visible to you. So, the Southeast is a good example, right? And the Skills USA event being here in Atlanta was a real
Yeah.
treat. But we met some of our HR team members, and we've built enough density here in the Southeast that we now have elevated an HR position. And Lisa
Yes.
Pye, who was embedded at our bone dry business, now serves in a generalist role across all of the Southeast. So we've been able to upgrade the services all of our businesses are getting with minimal additional investment. And those types of things we can do as we add scale and build density. But yeah, I mean, that's just one example. Deer Park, you referenced. I mean, that's sort of our center of excellence on training and leadership development. They've done so much in partnership with trade
Hmm.
schools in sort of the development of opportunities for their team members that we can now take and deploy to the rest of our businesses. And that's one of many
Yeah.
examples. So it's super exciting to watch, especially as it's not us from RCA forcing it. It's really it's being embraced, and in fact driven now by the business unit leaders who see the
Well, and
advantages.
I love it because it's yeah, I'm just waiting to see at Skills USA, whether it's next year or the year after, that all RCA companies have teams there, right? Because that's our whole
Yeah,
idea.
no, we expect to
Yeah.
be right. Unfortunately, this one crept us up on us,
Yeah.
but you can count on
I
it
think
next
it
year,
kind of
Heidi.
crept up on all of us, but now we're all
Yeah,
kind of all in. It is so exciting. It was so much fun, and you can just see the potential in the future. And it's the type of leadership that I think from the companies at RCA that really make that difference. That they are willing to show and share, how to reach out, how to get involved. Lisa with National Women in Roofing, and I mean, it's just I'm seeing all those things, and I'm a little prejudiced, but I think those are all really important. So
yeah. Well, we believe deeply in sort of the rising tide raises all
yes.
ships uh, philosophy, and I believe personally that, and maybe mostly in support of our team members that have demonstrated through their actions, that a strong industry association, a strong, proud industry is really important to professionalize our trade. And I think there's some really good things going on.
Yeah, so true. So true. Okay, so what would be some of your advice for companies that are looking to sell or join a national company like RCA?
Yeah, so a great question. I guess I say first, and candidly, I'm not big on giving unsolicited advice. So everybody's on their own unique journey. I was, and everybody I talk to is. I do, however, love to share sort of my experiences and those of my partners at RCA, and I do that all day long, every day. That's sort of, I'm a talking head in my current role more than anything. We're having this conversation because the consolidation wave has reached roofing, right? It's reached our industry, both in the residential and the commercial side. There are active acquirers and lots of conversations happening. I think it's important for owners to sort of listen, right? And open their mind to sort of the way that different investors, if they simply want to learn about what's happening, or they're even sort of getting to a point in their career or their business life cycle that a transaction might make sense, that they listen to a variety of folks talk about what they're up to, because there are a lot of different approaches. At RCA, we don't hire buy-side advisors to sort of dial every roofing company in the phone book, okay? We have a pretty deep knowledge of the industry. And so when you get a call from RCA that's unsolicited, it's because we've identified your company as probably a likely fit with our model, and it'll be someone from our team, right, who knows what we're doing, sort of understands the story, and isn't just some recent grad doing some cold calling on behalf of a buy-side advisory firm. Culture, you referenced it, is a massive sort of consideration, we believe. Right now, if you're the type of owner, and I don't want this to sound disparaging, that is simply looking for the best exit value, and you're not planning on sticking around, then maybe it's the only thing that matters is the amount of money that someone's willing to pay you. But it's not likely going to make you a fit for RCA. RCA and sort of our M&A strategy is all about alignment with the sellers and a focus on building something special for the future. Now, some models, invest a minority stake in businesses, right? That's not us. Some models, and probably most, are interested in a majority stake or 100% stake in businesses. So you want to make sure that you're sort of validating or assessing that, and that it's a fit with your objectives. Some buyers, provide sellers an opportunity to invest forward alongside them in the future sort of value creation of the business. That's critical to our strategy. Every seller gets an opportunity to take a portion of their proceeds at their discretion and invest it right alongside us, the other sellers into the model, as well as our general and limited partners in RCA. And why that's exciting is, number one, it drives alignment, right? Everybody's rowing in the same direction upon the day one. But two, there's a massive value and wealth creation opportunity forward that comes with that, depending on your level of investment. So it's an exciting opportunity, as they say in the industry, sort of the second bite at the apple, right? You sell your business the first time, and that's your first bite. But if you roll some of those proceeds into RCA, which is what we allow, you have the chance to get that second, and maybe over time the third bite at the apple, and continue to create wealth for your family or your teams, however you structure those assets. We spend a lot of time diligencing targets. We tell everyone we speak to it's equally and maybe more important that they diligence us, right? They have to get a feel for the future partner in their life's work, right? Yeah. That they're going to be a good steward of that asset, which is sometimes multi-generational, right? I mean, I have conversations all the time. Pittman Waller is a good example, a 100-year-old business. Torque, multi-generational business where, it's deeper than just sort of a value creation exercise. This is about a lifetime of relationships and and a parent's life's work along with yours, and we take that really
Yeah.
seriously. And we consider ourselves a little different in that we are roofers. We understand the industry. We understand what makes roofing companies tick and successful and more resilient and more profitable. And we can help sellers do that for their teams. And I think one of the more exciting parts about our platform is we're now over 1,000 employees, right?
Wow.
And
Wow.
and
Yeah.
so, I mean, there's just huge opportunity for folks that want to build their career with us, whether it's in the market
Hmm.
in which they live or if there's an opportunity somewhere else that didn't
Well,
exist.
everyone's looking for labor.
Well, us too. Us
Yeah.
too. Yeah, 1,000's not nearly enough. We could use 1,000 more.
Yeah.
But no, for people that are, everyone chose to go to work for that entrepreneur in that market. We respect
Right.
that, right? We understand the importance of that. But at the same time, for folks that are wanting to grow, there's opportunities across the country now for team members that
Yeah.
want to expand and grow, and that didn't exist with the individual businesses prior. So I threw a lot at you there. I'm not even sure much of it was responsive to the question, Heidi. Sorry, but
No, it
that's,
was perfect. In fact, actually, my next question was going to be, why should companies join RCA? But you really answered that. I mean, I love what you're sharing is the culture. And I think as we kind of look at contractors who are getting all these deals out there, or offers, I should say, they really do need to look at the culture and listen. I think the piece I'll take away is listen. Listen.
yeah. I mean, if you were serious about, and one of it, that was me. My business wasn't for sale, right?
Yeah.
I got a call, and I heard enough in that call that I took a next step with a seller. I didn't open my process to multiple buyers, right? I was
Hmm.
comfortable with the people I was talking with. I felt I had enough information and sort of advisory support to know that the valuation was fair. But all of those things are important, right? We would
Right.
never encourage someone not to talk to an advisor. And,
Right.
some people run processes and we participate in processes, right? But most of the businesses we talk to aren't for sale, right? It's just, we've initiated a discussion. We found enough common ground that it's made sense for us to take some steps down the process to explain how it will work, ask enough questions that we sort of know how we would value the business. And that's sort of how it goes. But that's not how every situation goes.
Mm-mm.
So each situation is different. We would encourage any potential seller to get professional advice, get
Yeah.
advisory advice about, where are multiples for transactions? Is this fair? Is this market? Those types of things. And then, of course, while we treat every conversation as confidential, our best advocates are our sellers. So we always provide access to our sellers, and many of them are already known to the people we're
Right.
talking to, and they all stay with us for a reason. They're
Right.
not running out the door after a transaction. So, in fact, there's not a single seller who's left their business since we've made a transaction. So,
Oh,
they're our
congratulations.
strongest advocates.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, we're only separated by a few degrees in anywhere in the roofing industry. We all know each other and people know. And so it is that culture, the reputation, market reputation and leadership, all of those things are so important. And when you put all that together, people are like, okay, I'm interested. I want to find out more about
Yeah,
this.
and we play the long game, Heidi. Right? We're interested in building
Yeah.
those relationships and trust. We think it's really powerful. We're not. While we do transactions, we do deals. We're not transactional. We're interested in
Yeah.
doing this at the pace it's comfortable for a seller or for an owner, and sometimes I suspect I've only been doing it for a couple of years, but I suspect we'll have conversations in 2022 that don't materialize into transactions until 5 years from now.
Yeah.
The timing is dictated by the seller. It's not by us.
Right. But you're offering such a great model across the country, and uh, it's just really exciting. So, if there's roofing companies out there listening to this right now, and they are thinking, we want to be involved, how do they get started? How do
Sure.
they kind of talk to either you or whoever to kind of start down that road?
Yeah, I mean we're perpetually available, always 24/7. It's sort of the curse of the roofing industry, Heidi. But
Yes.
yeah, you reach out to me, right? Either through our
Yeah.
website or I can drop a phone number here. They can reach out to any of our business units if they know one of our partners, to reach out to them and speak to them about whether we this thing's real or it's not, or what their experience has been. They'll always come back to me. I have a colleague here, Nick Kidder, who oversees what we call corporate development, essentially mergers and acquisitions. He's dynamite, and yeah, we'd love to meet you and tell you what we've been up to. So, what's the plan? Do I drop a phone number, Heidi, or what do I do?
Well, you know what? Actually, they can go to your directory on Roofer's Coffee Shop.
There you go, even better.
How's that? And all of the information is there, the phone number, the website. You can check it out, check out the directory. Plus, with all of the companies. So we are having all of the Roofing Corp locations are part of the R Club. And you can kind of check that out too, because I think that's important to look at the bigger picture of all the companies and start to build that relationship. And so that's all available. We'll make it easy on you, Randy. It's all available on Roofer's Coffee Shop.
Well, this is such a treat, Heidi. I so enjoyed it.
Thank you. I have to tell you, I just love this. I think it's such an important topic. Thank you for sharing your wisdom, and thank you for being willing to, put it out there. So often things get secretive, and I think really sharing this and helping other roofing companies to make the right choices, succession planning, I mean, it's also important. So thank you so much.
Yep, back at you. Keep doing what you're doing, Heidi. Great to see you.
We'll keep doing it. We'll keep working together. I love this. So thank you so much, and we'll see you again. I'm going to have you back just so we can hear more.
You tell me when.
Okay, that sounds great. And thank all of you for listening. Okay, start doing your investigation, start doing your research, and it all can start on Roofer's Coffee Shop. Check out Roofing Corp of America directory. And we also will have more podcasts, more information, multiple directories. It's all there for you to kind of check out and see what's happening. And thank you. Be sure to check out all of our podcasts under the Read, Listen, Watch navigation under Roofing Road Trips or on your favorite podcast channel. Be sure to subscribe and set your notifications so you don't miss a single episode. We'll see you next time on Roofing Road Trips.
Make sure to subscribe to our channel and leave a review. Thanks for listening. This has been Roofing Road Trips with Heidi from therooferscoffeeshop.com.